We are currently in troubling times. There exists a dissociative problem that has begun infecting the perceptions of humanity and establishing control on our ways of life. More people are reporting feeling a sense of purposelessness and emotional numbness than ever before. This condition is notably different from the way depressive episodes have been characterized in the past. The reason why is that there has been a constant stream of world-changing and formerly decade-defining events happening over the past 5 years. This avalanche of emotions and information has smothered the population in an intoxicating stew of overstimulation. I could write an essay on the sheer volume of youth around the world throwing the towel in. More surprisingly, all of the reasons why would be imperceptible to those of us of an older generation. This is not to feed into the rumor that the context of different generations are unnoticeable to people. It is just to say that even before the advent of modern technology, there has always been breaks in thinkings of those from the past. However, this is also the first time in human history that we are both aware of this problem as well as acutely aware of the real history before us. When media was more limited and literacy rates lower, it was truly rare for a world-changing event to occur, which is why the cultural impact of things like the Titanic or World War II are still so relevant to this day. It was one of the rare times you could see an era pass before your eyes. In contrast, we are now learning about technologies and events at an exponential rate. This is in direct opposition to the rigid structures of the human brain, which, while malleable, cannot keep up with the pace of inorganic machines. So almost as a societal-wide coping mechanism, people have begun to train their brain to filter out ever-increasing quantities of data and input as a safeguard for our sanity. However, due to this change in processing, previous hierarchies of importance are being actively rewritten, which has a domino effect in changing the way that culture evolves through us. As a result, it is now practically impossible to care about most of the same things that someone else does. When information was more limited and access to knowledge more localized, you could accurately know what the people around you believed. In the modern age, even someone who you grew up with can end up in a completely and utterly different way of thinking, with no physical or real-world stimuli causing it, increasing feelings of isolation and disincentivizing traditional community-building behaviors. And can you even blame us? With the explosion of digital warfare and the nature of the internet normalizing irrational opinions, it is almost impossible to keep a level and clear mind about the situations at hand. A complete and total worldwide shutdown is news that pales in comparison to the information constantly being thrown at us. In the month of August 2025 alone, we've had confirmation of the existence of aliens and alien contact, a political scandal that makes Watergate look like a water park, and a massive change in digital profiling and privacy laws. All front-page news, all the time. It doesn't help that mass media are incentivized to push divisive and dramatic headlines in order to garner viewership, with the escalation attention war being a primary driver for the environmental and societal overstimulation affecting the population en masse. These actions have led to an unforeseen and as of yet unmentioned daunting on the collective unconscious of society. With the spread of propaganda and misinformation prevalent, it has for better and for worse increased the acceptance of previously outlandish views and theories. With the hidden truth of statistics being so easily shielded in their presentation, an abstract, individualistic way of thinking is no longer a fringe activity. This phenomenon has been previously unstudied at this scale, and only involved isolated countries acting as a sort of control group for the effectiveness and tactics needed for mass propaganda and establishing widespread control over the people. From a bird's eye perspective, we have never seen such a greater overlap among all people and ways of thinking. While there has been some positive cultural change due to this phenomenon, there's also been an increase in very dangerous rhetoric due to the lack of oversight and perspective that most people operate with on a day-to-day basis, with extreme forces taking the opportunity as a sort of arms race for the next wave of mankind. This environment is part of the reasons that cryptocurrency is even possible and the NFT bubble grew so big. With this wealth of ideas given credence, people have a natural tendency to forego the chains and institutions of the past in a way that changes the very foundations and operations of our society. But where does that leave you? You're still a regular person who has to plan and think about their lives in a way that seems reasonable. But how is it possible for you to cement yourself and establish stability if the world around you has such great change? This constant innovation of ideas can leave the average person feeling stuck in their action, where it seems like no matter which way you turn, there is no reprieve for the uncertainty and risk that haunts us all. Long-term stable careers are being routinely disrupted, with the forced advent of AI changing the job field en masse, as well as the increase in outsourced labor driving firms to reduce headcount. You also have the internet creating many new forms of entrepreneurship, which is an alluring option to some. All of these occurrences are facts of a reality, And all of this new growth comes measured against the standards of institutions, which offer very little compared to what they did in the past. And what little they do offer is not guaranteed or promised, even with the fair handshake of a college degree and a consistent work ethic. So what now? And what does it mean for you? These conditions can also present a great opportunity for self-fulfillment and passion in life. There is no longer reason to feel judged or ashamed for pursuing your dreams. We know now that the rules that have been ingrained into us since childhood are patently false. And while yes, most people will fail at their pursuits, some will find success, and some will live the life of their dreams. Even if you try and fail, you would know then that a specific path was not meant for you. And rather than being tortured by it for decades to come, you can now move on, with that chapter firmly and sufficiently closed. And who knows, maybe in your pursuits, your life does not turn out the way you hope it to, but it does end up leading to the life that fulfills in a way that you cannot conceptualize. One must learn to bend themselves to the throes of life. No longer are the steadfast oak trees of her past generation the path to growth. The new method for emotional stability and healing of oneself is based on growth like a vine, with the will to iterate yourself 1,000 times in order to forge a path towards peace and self-actualization. Slowly but surely, I believe we'll be able to adapt and overcome in order to find our natural happiness rhythms. Remember, you have to roll the dice first before you get lucky. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.